In our busy lives, many of us face challenges with our mental health. Feelings of sadness, worry, or stress are common experiences for millions of people around the world. These conditions, like depression and anxiety, can affect our daily routines, our relationships, and our overall sense of well-being. For a long time, we have seen mental health and physical health as two separate things. We thought that what happens in our minds stays in our minds. But now, scientists are discovering that this is not true. Our mental state is deeply connected to the health of our entire body, especially our brain. This connection is more powerful than we ever imagined. We are beginning to understand that the health of our brain is not just about avoiding injury or disease. It is also about taking care of our emotional and psychological well-being. A new and important study is shining a light on this very connection. It suggests that having a history of mental health conditions might significantly increase a person's risk of developing dementia later in life. This is a big deal. Dementia is a condition that affects memory, thinking, and the ability to perform everyday tasks. It is one of the greatest health challenges we face today, and finding ways to prevent it is a top priority for doctors and researchers everywhere. This new research makes us think differently about how we approach brain health. It tells us that taking care of our mental health is not just about feeling better today. It is also an investment in our cognitive future. The idea that our emotional struggles could have such a profound impact on our brain's structure and function is a wake-up call. The journey to a healthier brain might just start with a healthier mind. The latest research brings us some truly eye-opening news. Scientists have found a strong and direct link between mental health conditions and a higher risk of developing dementia later in life. This is not just a small increase. The study shows the risk can be substantial. Specifically, individuals diagnosed with anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder appear to be more vulnerable to cognitive decline as they get older. This finding helps us connect the dots between the emotional centers of our brain and the parts responsible for memory and thinking, showing they are not as separate as we once believed. Let's break down what the study found for individual conditions. For people with a history of depression, the risk of dementia was found to be about 50% higher than for those without depression. That is a significant jump. Similarly, having an anxiety disorder also showed a notable increase in risk. The research pointed to a pattern where long-term or recurring mental health challenges seem to do more damage over time. It suggests that chronic stress and inflammation, which often accompany these conditions, could be slowly wearing down the brain's defenses and making it more susceptible to the changes that lead to dementia. Bipolar disorder, a condition characterized by extreme shifts in mood and energy, was also examined in the study. The findings here were also concerning, showing a heightened risk for dementia among those with the diagnosis. The constant swing between depressive lows and manic highs may place a unique and heavy strain on the brain's networks. Researchers believe repeated cycles of intense brain activity and subsequent exhaustion could damage brain cells and pathways over many years. This discovery pushes us to consider mental health treatment not just for immediate relief, but as a long-term strategy for preserving cognitive function. The overall message from this part of the study is clear and powerful. Your mental health history is a critical piece of your brain health puzzle. One of the most shocking parts of this new study is what happens when someone has more than one mental health condition. The researchers found the risk of dementia does not just add up, it multiplies. This is called a synergistic effect, where the combined impact is far greater than the sum of its parts. For example, depression and anxiety together, they raise risk more than each alone. The two conditions work together to make the brain much more vulnerable over time. The study found particular dangerous pairings. Depression plus anxiety was one of the most common and riskiest. People with both saw dementia risk climb well above those with only one. Another high-risk duo, depression plus bipolar disorder. Imagine your brain has a defense system. One condition makes a small crack, another condition makes another crack. Together, the cracks connect and form a large weak spot. Chronic stress, inflammation, hormonal imbalances, these can overwhelm the brain's repair systems. Over years, this leads to death of brain cells, loss of connections essential for memory and thinking. This double trouble discovery underscores the need for comprehensive mental health care for preventive brain health. To understand why these findings are so important, we need to look at how the study was done. The researchers used a method called a longitudinal study. This means they followed a very large group of people over a long period of time, often for many decades. They collected detailed information about the participants' health at the beginning of the study, including any diagnoses of mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder. This created a baseline, a snapshot of everyone's health at the start. It is a powerful way to see how health changes and develops over a lifetime. After gathering the initial data, the researchers simply waited and watched. They periodically checked in with the participants over the years, tracking their health through medical records, checkups, interviews. As the participants grew older, some of them began to develop dementia. The scientists carefully recorded each new dementia diagnosis. Because they had followed these individuals for so long, they could look back at their health records from decades earlier. This allowed them to see if there were any patterns. They wanted to know if the people who developed dementia had anything in common from their past. The next step was the analysis. Using powerful statistical tools, the scientists compared the group of people who developed dementia with the group who did not. The numbers told a clear story. It is this kind of solid, long-term data that makes the study's conclusions so compelling and hard to ignore. While the link to mental health is a major breakthrough, it's important to remember that dementia is a really complex disease with many different causes. Mental health is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Experts have identified several other risk factors that can contribute to a person's chances of developing dementia. Some of these we can't change, like age and genetics. The single biggest risk factor for most types of dementia is simply getting older. Having a close family member, like a parent or sibling with dementia, can also increase your risk due to shared genes. However, many risk factors are within our control. These are called modifiable risk factors. Lifestyle choices play a huge role in brain health. For example, high blood pressure, especially in midlife, is strongly linked to dementia risk. High cholesterol, diabetes. These conditions can damage blood vessels, including the small, delicate ones in the brain. When blood flow to the brain is reduced, brain cells don't get the oxygen and nutrients they need. Our daily habits make a big difference. A healthy, balanced diet like the Mediterranean diet is protective for the brain. This diet is rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, fish, healthy fats. Smoking is very harmful to the brain. It damages blood vessels and increases inflammation. Lack of physical activity is another major factor. Regular exercise improves blood flow to the brain, reduces inflammation, and stimulates growth of new brain cells. Finally, staying socially and mentally active is crucial. Engaging in hobbies, learning new skills, spending time with friends and family builds cognitive reserve. Think of cognitive reserve as your brain's backup system. So, while mental health is a key factor, it's important to manage all these risks together. The findings from this study are more than just interesting science. They are a critical message for our entire society. Dementia is one of the fastest-growing health crises of our time. Globally, tens of millions of people are living with the condition, and that number is expected to triple in the coming decades as the world's population gets older. The cost of care is enormous, placing a heavy burden on families' healthcare systems' economies. Finding ways to prevent or delay the onset of dementia is not just a medical goal, it is a social and economic necessity. This research gives us a new and powerful angle of attack. By identifying mental health conditions as a major risk factor, the study highlights a huge opportunity for prevention. Millions of people are already being treated for depression, anxiety, other disorders. This new knowledge should change how we view that treatment. It is not just about improving mood, reducing worry in the short term. It is about protecting the brain from long-term damage. This means we need to put more resources into mental health care. We need to make sure that everyone who needs help can get it easily and affordably. Mental health support should be a standard part of primary care, not a luxury. This research also calls for a shift in how we screen for dementia risk. Right now, screening is often focused on older adults who are already showing signs of memory loss. This study suggests we need to start much earlier. Doctors should consider a person's mental health history as a key indicator of their long-term cognitive risk. A 45-year-old with a history of recurrent depression and anxiety disorder should be seen as being in a high-risk group. This allows for early intervention, where doctors can provide targeted advice on managing other risk factors like blood pressure, diet, exercise to help offset the increased risk. Ultimately, these findings matter because they offer hope. It shows that there are concrete steps we can take, starting today, to lower our risk. It is a public health message that empowers individuals and gives policymakers a clear direction for creating a healthier, more dementia-resistant society. Recognizing the early signs of dementia is crucial for getting timely help and support. It is important to remember that dementia is not just about normal age-related forgetfulness, like misplacing your keys or forgetting someone's name for a moment. Instead, it involves a pattern of changes in cognitive abilities that are serious enough to interfere with daily life. One of the most common early signs is memory loss that disrupts daily activities. Forgetting recently learned information, asking for the same information over and over, relying heavily on memory aids like notes for things they used to handle on their own. Another key area to watch is problem solving and planning. Trouble following a familiar recipe, keeping track of monthly bills. They may find it difficult to concentrate and take much longer to do things than they did before. This is different from making an occasional error in your checkbook. It is a consistent decline in the ability to develop and follow a plan or work with numbers. Confusion with time or place is another significant warning sign. Losing track of dates, losing track of seasons, losing track of the passage of time, forgetting where they are, or how they got there. Similarly, challenges with visual and spatial abilities can appear. Difficulty reading, judging distances, determining color or contrast, which can sometimes lead to problems with driving. Finally, changes in mood and personality can also be an early clue. A person might become confused, suspicious, depressed, fearful, or anxious. They may be easily upset at home, at work, with friends, or in places where they are out of their comfort zone. If you notice any of these signs in yourself or a loved one, it is important to talk to a doctor. While the findings of this study are very important, it is essential to understand its limitations. Good science looks at the full picture, including what a study can and cannot tell us. First, remember this study shows correlation, not causation correlation. Equal sign a link or association here. Mental health conditions and dementia that doesn't prove direct cause. There could be a hidden factor: genetic predisposition, poor diet, social isolation. Finally, this is about risk for populations, not predictions for individuals. History of depression or anxiety doesn't mean you'll definitely get dementia. It means statistical risk may be higher. The good news is that you are not powerless. There are many practical and effective steps you can take to protect both your mental health and your cognitive health. The first and most important step is to take your mental well-being seriously. If you are struggling with feelings of sadness, worry, or overwhelming stress, please seek help. Talk to your doctor, a therapist, or a trusted friend or family member. Treating mental health conditions with therapy, medication, or other support. It's not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. This new research shows it's also one of the best things you can do for your long-term brain health. Next, focus on lifestyle factors that support a healthy brain. Adopt a brain-healthy diet like the Mediterranean style of eating. Fill your plate with colorful fruits and vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, fish. Try to limit your intake of red meat, processed foods, and sugary drinks. At the same time, get your body moving. Aim for at least 150 minutes a week, like brisk walking or swimming. Physical activity is like a superfood for your brain. It improves blood flow, reduces inflammation, and helps grow new brain cells. It is also vital to manage your cardiovascular health. Keep a close eye on your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. Work with your doctor to keep these numbers in a healthy range. And if you smoke, quitting is one of the single best things you can do for your overall health, including your brain health. It is never too late to quit, and your body starts to heal almost immediately. Finally, stay curious and stay connected. Challenge your brain by learning new things. Take a class, learn a new language, pick up a musical instrument, or do puzzles. These activities help build your cognitive reserve, making your brain more resilient. Just as importantly, nurture your social connections. Spend quality time with friends and family. Join a club or volunteer for a cause you care about. Strong social ties help reduce stress and are linked to a lower risk of dementia. By taking these steps, you are making a powerful investment in a healthier mind and a brighter cognitive future. The connection between mental health and dementia risk is real and significant, but it's also a call to action. By addressing mental health proactively, maintaining healthy lifestyle habits, and staying socially engaged, we can work toward a future where cognitive decline is not inevitable. Your journey to better brain health